Everybody, this is Anthony for Virtual ComFest coming here from the big room, sitting with the one and only Randy Malloy. Randy, how are you today?
I'm good, Anthony. How are you?
Awesome. I have the pleasure of announcing that you are our honored volunteer for the 49th Annual ComFest. Congratulations.
Well, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was not aware. I was told there was an interview, but I was not told why. Well, that's great. Thank you so much. Thank you. That's awesome.
You do a lot for the community. You've kept music going for us here in a time where we've needed music badly. Can you just tell me a little bit about maybe how you first got involved with ComFest?
Oh, oof. Well, I moved here in the late 80s and found ComFest and thought it was this amazing thing and started participating and going to it. And then when I got involved in the radio station in the early 90s, I said, can we be at ComFest? And they were like, sure, but you have to do something. Okay. And I was like, what do you mean you have to do something? Well, you have to be part of ComFest. You can't just take advantage and be, marketing. You have to do something. You have to give back.
Okay.
That's the ComFest way. I said, oh, sure, I'm cool with volunteering. So what do you do? So, started picking up garbage and then basically said, hey, you guys are using wooden stakes and you're putting around the stage and they're breaking off the ground. You're leaving stuff. I said, we have metal stakes that we can recycle every single year and we can reuse over and over again. I said, we'll take care of staging, all the fence around the main stage and some of the trees and some of the other areas.
Okay.
And they were like, great, do it. So that became our call. And we came and we started fencing. So we'd come down and set up the night before and we would fence the main Bozo stage at ComFest and the backstage area. And we'd put gates where the volunteers would come in for the stage and maintain all that fence around where the trucks loaded in and just, doing that stuff and picking up and being part of making it happen.
Very cool.
And it just sort of became our thing. I'd get a call from Candy and she'd be like, you're gonna come to your stage here? I'm like, yeah, where's that? We'll get the fence. Yeah. And we started to not have to fence around the trees and bushes, which was great. And then just started to do around the main stage and sort of became our thing. And then, over the years, I had different people come and help me. And in the pouring rain on a late night at 2 o'clock in the morning, waiting for Michael Jordan's sound to come, we're like, where are the speakers? We can't fence a stage without the speakers. And it just became the thing. And it was just sort of part of it. So it sort of became, every time we did ComFest, it's like, all right, we'll do the fence.
Awesome.
And that way, we never had, it was the same fence every year, right. Metal stakes, so we just pull them out of the ground, didn't damage the park, didn't leave any residual, and the park was left better than we started because we aerated.
There you go, right?
By putting
all those stakes aerated out.
Because we aerated the ground.
You get a head start on reseeding for next year. Nice, very nice. So you started as the trash man, now you're the fence man.
Yeah.
Tell me what else you're doing in the community besides ComFest, because ComFest is one weekend a year, but you're out there every single day and night and weekend doing stuff for us. What do you do for us?
Well, we do a thing called the Green Tea with the radio station. I was a volunteer when I grew up in New Jersey. I volunteered, I drove an ambulance as a volunteer. It was always sort of part of the ethos of you have to give part of yourself to tithe.
So they just let anyone drive an ambulance in New Jersey?
No, they don't. I went to school for it.
Okay.
I had to go to college for 2 years. I had to learn to do that stuff. But I did it for free because it was just something you could do as a volunteer emergency squad, like a volunteer fire department.
Right.
And I was the ambulance guy.
Okay.
But we do cleanups all the time. I clean up my neighborhood near the university. We do cleanups around the city. We help with things like Habitat for Humanity. It just, you don't have to change the world. You just change the little world you're in. And if everybody just changed that small little part of what they do, well, then it would make a big difference.
Sure.
So like at ComFest, the last couple of years, Brian Schweikert needed help with pouring beer. So we had the staff do beer pouring.
Okay.
And we did it. We actually tried to do a competition with the drag queens to do beer pouring.
Okay.
Who would get the most people to the tents. And it's part of the community means that you are that community and you have to be part of it.
Right.
You can't just sort of blithely walk through it. You have to enact and do things in it.
Sure.
To help it be that community.
That's literally the story of ComFest.
Exactly.
You know
it is.
I mean?
And that's why I guess it was an easy fit for me because it had all those sort of good parts that, well, look, it's like camping. You know, the old mantra of camping: make the campsite look better than when you got there.
Right.
If someone else left trash, you can kind of shake your head and say, "You suck."
Take only
But you
pictures,
take it
leave
with
only
you.
footprints.
Exactly. And that's kind of, that's the way it should work.
Okay.
And if more people did that, then we'd have a better place overall.
Sure.
So I guess that would be the ComFest way. So it was easy to fit in that.
That's awesome. You were already ready for it.
Ready for it.
All right. So what do you get most excited about that you do all year long? You've got a full plate. What's the number one thing that you get excited about that you get to be a part of here?
Oh. Well, I love ComFest. I mean, I think ComFest is one of those. I mean, I have friends that come up from New Orleans
Wow.
annually to come see it and come participate in it. It's nice because it's different. Love the Arts Fest. Love Food Truck Fest. Love Jazz and Rib Fest. But ComFest just has a totally different feel because it is volunteer run, because it's definitely less corporate. There's still people spending money and there's still commerce happening, but it just has a very cool vibe. I don't want to say it's a hippie vibe, but it's kind of it's a throwback to a different time where it's definitely more, involved with the community.
Sure.
Hence why it's
Community Festival, right? They picked a pretty good name for it.
They did. Plus the live music. You get to see a lot of great bands, and the setting's great. I mean, come on, Goodell Park is gorgeous.
Yeah.
So to be able to see bands with trees and sit in the grass and hang out and have a beer with friends and communicate with people you haven't seen forever.
Right.
Not just the pandemic, but every year it's like, oh, hey, I haven't seen you since last year.
I've got an entire ComFest family. You go down there, I make no plans to see them, but I know I'll run into them when I'm down there.
Exactly, because they may be a vendor that you saw that, good old Roger's tie-dyes, and Roger's passed away, unfortunately, but we knew Roger. We used to get all our tie-dyes for the radio station from Roger for decades. Wow. Just from the fact that I met him one ComFest, and I was like, can we buy bulk? He's like, sure, man, all cool. He's like, let me know, I'll call you up. And Roger was like this cool dude from Athens that came up every year and tie-dyes. Right. And that's when I saw Roger once a year.
Very cool. And Roger got a great contract getting you those tie-dyes every
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Very nice. What else you got going on here in Columbus this year?
Well, I mean, it's been a crazy year, Virtual ComFest last year. We started doing, live bands, us virtually in August. Okay. We started with Willie Phoenix on our actual 30th anniversary. And we've been doing bands ever since. And we do sort of like ComFest. There is no genre that we're doing here. It's not just the radio station's bands. We're playing heavy metal. We're doing a huge section with hip hop. And then a lot of local bands that people know and love. Because again, it's about music. I always joke that, the staff here is very eclectic. There's people here that have, marketing degrees, and people here that are salespeople, and there's music people, and there's folks that are, involved in the programming side, and the administrative side. But the glue that binds us is the music. Okay. And that's because everyone loves music. And it's that passion for live music and the passion for the bands, and that's the binding agent. And that's why we all sort of coalesce and get along so well as the music.
Right.
So live music is such an integral part of us that, for us not to have live music because of, the pandemic the last year has been crazy. So we'll get people back into the big room, which will be great. I'm just looking forward to the interaction because I love the creatives. And people in bands, the musicians are the creatives, and I love that part. And I've missed that part of the music industry. No, that's awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us. We couldn't be doing what we're doing right now without you again graciously allowing us to be in here to do this.
Well, I mean, it's an honor for me actually. I've sort of known everybody and got to know everybody that runs ComFest, and it's amazing that they've sustained 49 years. First of all. Which, there's a lot of festivals that can't claim to last 4 years, let alone 49 years. So that's a huge testament to the leadership and all the volunteers that have maintained a quality festival for 49 years. Absolutely amazing. I think that it is something that the city as a whole benefits from because it does really highlight the diversity. It really does highlight the inclusiveness. And it really does highlight just the overall sense of pride that the community takes in live music, and how well we can get along when we put our minds to it. So
That sense of pride in the community. I mean, it's
really, yeah, I'm honored genuinely to be chosen. All joking aside, because it is something that, anyone you ask about ComFest, they know what it is.
right.
It's not something that like, I've never heard of that. I mean, if you've been here for a year, you know what ComFest is. So thank you so much. It's a great honor.
Thank you.